What's your story? What's your sign? It's like we're twin flames in a different life. Deep connection lights a spark. It's like you know me in the depths of my heart. We're dreamers, don't care what other people say.
This is just going to be a general chat, a driving chat, a driving video. Just me chatting nonsense about van life. Why I took on van life, why I'm living in a van, why I'm suffering the crappy park ups around London and the emissions and all that, and why I'm driving a expensive motorhome and living in a van. All those questions I'm now going to answer. So yeah, why am I driving this van straight off? Because I bought this van 3 years ago, and I knew then that the emissions and the ULEZs were going to come in. So working in London, I had to have a van that covered me on the emissions. So that's the reason I actually forked out and bought this expensive van. Another reason I bought a full-blown motorhome and didn't do a van conversion, because yes, I would do a van conversion every time if I was given the choice. And the reason I didn't do that is not because I couldn't do it. I'm more than capable of converting a van. But the reason I didn't is because when I got paid out from the house that I had with my partner, I had to move out the very next day. So once the solicitor put that check into my account, I had 24 hours to leave the house. So that's why I didn't do a self-build. I didn't have anywhere to build the van. I could have actually have lived in it, but this time was it was August, so I didn't really want to live in a van over the winter months whilst trying to build it. Not my first van anyway. If I'd built vans in the past, which I hadn't, then I would have probably have considered yeah, I probably would have considered a self-build, but I had a few months before the winter, and I had to get out and get living in another van, or get living in the van. So that's why I didn't do a self-build, and that's the reason I'm driving this expensive motorhome. It's not what I would choose to drive, but it's what I was really forced into because of the emissions and the ULEZs charges. I've never really done a driving video, so this is a first for me. I've just got myself one of those Gorilla. I've just got one of those Gorilla pods, so I've got the camera mounted on the dashboard. I'm giving it a go. I've had a lot of people ask me, how do I manage to live in the van full time and travel? And the simple answer is that I work like everybody else. It's not that I just travel all year round in the van. I do have to go to work every day. And quite a lot of my friends that are also van lifers or live in their vans full time, they also do the same. Some of them actually work from their vans, doing online jobs, online sales, and various other online stuff. Yes, a fair few of them work online, but yeah, I'm unfortunate enough to work at a school, so yeah, I basically work the same as every other person that lives in an house. I go to work every day. When I finish work on a Friday, I then set off, and today is a Friday, so I've just set off for Coventry. Yeah, traffic around London is absolutely terrible. I've not even gone a mile yet and I'm stuck. And the cost of diesel at the moment is atrocious. Filled up yesterday. I went and visited Graham down on the coast, on the south coast last weekend, and I filled up this week, last night actually. I filled up last night and it was £100 worth of diesel. So I may have to think about how many weekends per month I get out and travel, because at the moment I do travel every weekend, but yeah, now I'm spending sort of £100 plus every weekend on diesel, which is a fair amount of money. Yes, I might have to rethink that. It was only, I've had this van 3 years now. I've been living in it 3 years. It was, I think, 65 quid to fill it up from empty when I got it. So that's life, eh? That could be one of the killers that totally ruins van life. Because a lot of people rely on living on small amounts of money to travel, but when the cost of travel is so expensive, then I don't know if people are going to do it. When you look at a trip around Scotland now, you're probably going to spend 500 quid alone just in diesel costs. I made a trip to Spain, bottom end of Spain, to Gibraltar with Ian. When was that? 2 years ago, I think that was. Year and a half ago. And the cost of diesel on that trip, I think, I'm not totally sure, because I didn't really calculate it. I just put in what I needed. But I'm guesstimating it was about between £800 and £1,000 in diesel to travel down and back up over a 6-week period. Obviously it wasn't a straight line, and we avoided the toll roads, but the cost was, if we just call it 800 quid, that now would now be a £1,600 trip, which is basically what the old trip to Spain had cost. The total cost of the trip to Spain was probably less than 1,600 quid, and now you're looking at that just in diesel alone. So yeah. So yeah, what was I saying? Working and van life. Yeah, most people do. They've all got normal jobs or work online. Very few of us actually can afford to not work and to just sit in your van all day and travel around. Unfortunately, there are some very wealthy people out there that can afford to do it, and I met some of those whilst in Spain and France, but they all seem to be elderly and retired. I'm not elderly and retired just yet, but yeah, they all seem to be elderly and retired, or they've rented out their houses. They've got an house back home, they've rented it out, and they're living off the income, which is how a lot of people survive. It seems to be a lot of people's dreams nowadays to get into van life, because they think it's a life of travel and non-work and enjoyment. But yeah, it is what it is. You take the good with the bad. For me, If I rented a flat in London, where I am now, and I did go over this before I bought the van. This is the reason I actually bought the van, why I'm living the van life. I split up with my partner. She was left with the house, and I have a daughter. I split up with them. They got the house, and I took a small amount of money to buy this van. So that's the reason I'm in van life. I've if I was renting a property around here now, I'd probably spend about £1,200, £1,400 a month on rental costs, and that would be sort of like a one-bed flat. If I rented from a double room in a bedsit, a shared house, shared accommodation with other people, which would not go down well with me. I would not like to be in an house with other people. That alone would cost me, I guess, between £600 and £800 a month. So it was a no-brainer for me to buy the van, and to live in it, because the money that I earn now from working goes on travel, goes on my travel, goes on my trips. It could have all been going on rent. So that's the way I see it. People might think, oh, spending £100 a weekend to travel off to wherever he's going is a lot of money, but that could have been spent on rent alone, and I wouldn't have got to go anywhere. I'd still be sitting at home in my bed sit, having a miserable life. And again, that's something that I didn't want to, a route that I didn't want to go down. So the best of both worlds for me is to live in a van. I've overcome most of the obstacles of living in a van, which is filling up with water, your washing, and one of the biggest obstacles is electric in the winter. How do you get electric or run the van? How do you supply the lights? How do you supply the phone charging in the winter? Because I've heard a lot of people say that because of the struggle with LPG now, they are going full electric, that they are turning to electric. Liam said it just the other day, and that's not really an option for me. I think a lot of people that do go full electric get to plug in on campsites for the most part, throughout the winter months at least. In the summer it's not too bad. The solar will provide ample power as long as you've got a big enough battery bank. The solar will provide enough power. In the winter I've got a generator. That's how I survive. I have a generator. It's a 2 kilowatt generator, so I can actually heat the van. I can heat the hot water and have a shower off the generator, saving on the LPG. And can you really live in the winter months on your solar? No, it's not going to work. And anyone that tells you you can and it will is probably talking complete rubbish. I'd like to see them do it. You might be able to mix that up with a wind turbine, as long as you've got somewhere to put it. Yeah, living in a van in winter, it ain't easy. You've got the heater alone a diesel heater to run for 24 hours will use about 15-20 amps from turn on to shut down for 24 hours, or to run it for 24 hours, about 20 amps you're looking at. And using 20 amps a day and not having no solar to bring anything in, because on a miserable winter's day, you're probably bringing in with, I've got 460 watt of solar on my van, and you would think that would be plenty. You'd hear people tell you it's plenty. I've got two lithium batteries, 200 amp hour lithium batteries, 460 watt of solar with the Victron units and I just am not getting enough power to just run it off solar. It just ain't going to happen. So a generator is pretty much a must for me. Graham wanders sometimes. He pretty much done the same time as me a year ago. He doesn't eat. He hasn't got a Truma boiler. He's just got a combi boiler, so he doesn't need the 2 kilowatt generator. He's got a little 100 watt generator, which supplies him with enough power to run whatever he needs to run. And I think that's the way that a lot of people who live full time in the winter months seem to go.
Oh, this looks quite nice. Nice 30-mile-an-hour road, so it's not going to get speeding traffic. But what does the actual park-up look like? That's the thing. Okay, so after last time I met Mark and I had to get him to direct me, I've now decided to put 2 sat-navs on. So I've got the directions on my phone, the sat-nav, and also the sat-nav on the van. So hopefully one of them, the GPS the signal will not get lost. That's what was happening last time. It kept losing the signal, and then I had to, Mark actually directed me via his map, and he could see exactly where I was on his map. It was a little bit out though, but he did a grand job. So, where am I sending Mark this week? I'm sending him to Coventry. Well, okay, a little bit outside of Coventry, but it's me that found the park up. I basically needed somewhere, or wanted somewhere that was roughly halfway between both of us. So halfway between where I am and halfway between where he is in London. So Coventry was about halfway. So let's see what my park up's like when we actually get there. So it should be on the left, if I can find it. I think there's 2 ways into it, so I think Mark came from the other direction. Okay, so it's past the school. That's what I saw when I saw Google Maps when I was doing my research. So there's the school, or the school playground. Then it should. Is this it? Huh. This is it. I found him.
So we are, where are we? Somewhere on the outskirts of Coventry.
Because I sent you there.
Because you sent me to Coventry. We are parked up where?
Binley Woods.
In the woods. And we're currently visiting
Coombe Abbey Estate.
Coombe Abbey Estate. I don't know if I can see you there. It's actually quite pretty. It's actually, well, I think there's some sort of wedding going on.
There's fish on there. Oh, dragon.
Dragons on the gate, yeah. Dragons, yeah. Ooh, the dog's tying me up in knots. These gardens look completely natural, but they're not. They were all thought out and planned by Lancelot Brown in 1771. Brown was a very well respected landscape gardener back then, and he trained in Kew Gardens in London. Back then the cost of the gardening was £7,650 and 9 shillings, and is now worth £500,000 in today's money. Some of the original trees that were in the grounds when Brown arrived are still in situ, because he thought they were quite pleasing to the eye. And when you walk round, you will notice that there are some old trees, and he seems to have done a really good job of making unnatural look really natural. Now he's getting bullied by two of them. Right, so Sue has asked me to give her a van life haircut. Would you trust an hairdresser with an haircut like this? No, I'm not joking. Here we go. Right. Are you absolutely sure about this?
Yes, you've just got scissors, that's all. You haven't got any shaving equipment, so we're good.
Okay, we're good. You
I've
sure?
got a lot of hair, so...
Where should we put that? We'll put this on there.
Can't see what you can see though.
Huh?
Get by there.
You can't see what I can see. So I guess you want to know, why are so many people turning to van life right now? Well, for me, for over 30 years I was tied to an house and bills and a mortgage, and I've cut loose from all that. The amount of freedom or lack of stress I now have, having removed all that from my life, is just so great. It's hard to explain. It's just like all my problems have been taken away from me. You grow up as a kid being told that you need to get a job and buy an house, so you have somewhere to live when you get older. Well, look at me. People's feelings change, relationships change, and I've grown up and I'm now at a position where I don't have the benefits of renting out a property that I've paid for all my life. But then again, I've got to ask myself, do I need that property? Do I need an house to live in? I'm enjoying myself and I'm living just fine, thanks.
No, you need to get some more of the fabric first.
So yeah, as you can see, me and Sue, we've bought a couple of hammocks, and we plan another adventure dangling in the trees somewhere. So don't forget to subscribe and like, and look forward to join us on that one. You never know what might happen. Don't turn over because it will go through, won't it? The net won't hold you. The net won't hold you. Stop laughing, making me. I can't help you. No, right, let me try and move this way. I can't help you if I'm laughing. Come this way. Wait, let me move that way then. Let me move this way first.
Oh my God.
In a fabric. Oh God. Jeez.
Right.
Yeah.
Zip it.
Are we in?
Yeah, you've got to zip it up first. Zip the mosquito in there. We need a string and we put it on our toe or something.
Okay, right.
We're in. Are you all confident? Is it video?
Yeah, but I mean, you got loads of room this side.
Yeah, I can't move.